So operational excellence, new ways of thinking, contract manufacturing under the influence of the operational excellence influence. Yeah. When I started to look at the topic, I thought, first of all, I start with a very scientific research. So what I did is I started a very profound Google search, and I soon found out that there are huge amounts of hits, about 10 million just for the term operational excellence, about 40 million even for operational excellence courses and training programs related to them, and 3 million diagrams and pictures. So this was quite impressive. Most results of the operational excellence are related to or are mentioned in combination with continuous improvement methodologies, which we all know. So first you see Kaizen. We have a Toyota production system. Obviously both were developed by Toyota. Then we find Six Sigma, which was developed by Motorola, and lean management followed in the 1990s, and the two last were then combined to form Lean Six Sigma, and it was first mentioned about 2002. But this is not the only combination we find it in. Obviously, it's also mentioned with a lot of global companies who influence this idea. And yeah, we can see that with most industry, really. For the pharmaceutical industry, it was often related to the benchmarking, which was started by the University of St. Gallen in 2004. So for Europe, that is a strong influence and a strong point. The question arises, obviously, what exactly is operational excellence? After so many hits on the internet, we can imagine that also the contributions concerning the definition are very, very varied. So after looking at many of them, I decided to go with the one that I found on Wikipedia. Operational excellence is a philosophy of organizational leadership that stresses the application of a variety of principles, systems, and tools toward the sustainable improvement of key performance metrics. Much of this philosophy is based on earlier continuous improvement methodologies, such as lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, and scientific management. The focus of operational excellence goes beyond the traditional event-based model of improvement toward a long-term change in organizational culture. I personally believe that the Toyota production system should have been mentioned in this definition as well. And the reason for that is that one of the most renowned prizes that are awarded globally is the Shingo Prize, and we will look at this a bit more in detail now, and you will understand why I find that the Toyota production system should have been mentioned. The prize is named after the remarkable Japanese industrial engineer, and I hope I pronounce his name correctly, Shigeo Shingo, who lived between 1909 and 1990. He distinguished himself as one of the leading experts when developing the Toyota production system, and his books were translated into English, and that brought the idea actually to America. There, in 1988, he was awarded the honorary doctorate of the Utah State University, and the prize was then initiated in that same year. Oh, I wanted to show him to you as well. I'm sorry, I forgot. But if we look a bit closer at the criteria, we understand also about the idea of this whole system. The criteria of the Shingo Prize, which is actually awards operational excellence in companies, and you can apply to it. If you want to know more about it, you can find that on the internet. One value is create value for the customer. We all know that, we all focus on that. Create constancy of purpose, think systematically, focus on the process, embrace scientific thinking, the well-known flow and pull value, assure quality at the source, and seek perfection. Now, these are all quantifiable aspects of it. And we are very good in the Western world to actually embrace these. And we find that most consultants who are dealing with companies and introducing operational excellence to companies will be implementing these first, as they are mainly cost-saving and efficiency-increasing aspects. Also, obviously, we also have done that at Pharma. And they played a huge role in the design of our facility, which was awarded the Facility of the Year Award 2009 in the category of Operational Excellence by the ISP. Now, how exactly was it done? During the plant layout, we were looking very carefully at the reduction of any waste. Waste meaning, in this case, also waste of space and time, meaning we have an optimized staff and material flow which has the shortest possible ways, and obviously also reduces going backwards in the process. So it's all organized along the whole process. Also, we have a color scheme implemented which helps you orientate in which area you are of the clean room facility. So that also means that all the staff is very aware of what they're doing, where they are, and it gives them a very clear impression. Obviously, when we implemented these processes in the stereo facility, also the subsequent processes needed improving and needed to follow the same idea. So the packaging area was also enlarged, and you can see we introduced lots of daylight, transparency. A lot of transparency was obtained by integrating glass walls, and also the material flow was optimized. So it's also that all the process steps follow a circular motion. Last but not least, we realized that if our work processes are organized in such an ideal way, we also need to change or adapt our organizational structure itself. So, the vertical departments we were organized in up to now were reorganized along the processes themselves. So now we have order fulfillment, order generation, I should start with, order fulfillment, production lifecycle management, quality management, and supporting processes. And in these processes, all the tasks that our business is complying with or fulfilling are organized in a very lean way. In addition to that, we also introduced a team for operational excellence. They are there to promote the whole idea within the total company, so it's not only based to the or restricted to the production area, but also to all the other parts, whether it's in the offices, or in any supporting area of the company. We have them to support organizing the any projects and also any improvement and continuous improvement cycles. Okay, but in addition to these quantifiable aspects of the whole price, there are two more, and you might have seen that I stopped at 3. So it wasn't because I couldn't count back down to 1, but it was actually because I wanted to leave them for later. So apart from these cost-saving and efficiency-increasing aspects, the Shingo Prize puts at the very top two more, which is lead with humility and respect every individual. Now these are very clearly the non-qualifiable aspects, and I would call them also the Cinderella aspects, because I think we find it very hard in the Western world to actually grasp this concept. Now let us look at it a little closer. Respect every individual. So it means not only my customers, not only my colleagues, it might be my bosses, my subordinates, every individual. It very clearly says that. But what does it mean, respect? I talk to many of my colleagues and friends and very soon learn that the widespread opinion is that respect has something to do with courtesy and polite and professional behavior. But really, this probably includes not threatening anybody or not pressurizing anybody. But is that really respect? Or is it just the bare minimum requirement one should really think about when talking about respect? I really think it goes a bit beyond that. It's about liking people, respecting people also means evaluating their contributions and their entire person. This is all fairly easy if you like the person you have in front of you, if you feel sympathy towards them. But often we are also dealing with people that we find less accessible. So I think it might help if we look at other cultures. I believe that in the Japanese or Asian societies, there is a more or deeper feeling for respect, whether it is towards the aged people, towards aged people, or to respect in general. And I also think that it is more of a reverent emotion itself. Now, this is for respect. But even worse in our society is lead with humility. Isn't that a contradiction in itself? How can somebody who's charismatic and strong be humble at the same time? That somehow doesn't really work very well with our understanding in the Western world of how to behave. So how can somebody who's humble be successful? I think it is less of a conflict or less of a conflict as it appears at the first glance, because being humble doesn't mean one has to have a low self-esteem. Being modest does not mean that I don't value myself, but it means I don't need to boast myself with either my own success or, even worse, with that of my colleagues or my subordinates all the time. Also, it means that by not taking myself quite so important, I can form part of a whole. And then it is possible to actually gain and win as a team. Also, in a leader, it would mean that I recognize the potential of my subordinates, and thus not just seeing it, but also evaluating it, and also accepting the fact that at times their potential might be higher than my own, and giving room for that to develop. To subordinate the ego means just that I don't take myself excessively important, and also this might help to win as a team. I think really when we look at respect and humility, we might find that the combination of the two will really be quite a good combination to make superior qualities in leaders. As a human being, we often implement these two aspects very well when educating our own children. There we very easily see the potential in them. We nurture them, we support them, we have them grow, they become more able and grow strong and successful. And I believe that if we implemented that more in a working environment, we would probably find that it does just the same. Now back to our company at Pharma. How did we implement the values? Well, first of all, I think it's as an owner-run company, we have a good opportunity to actually implement long-term goals in a slightly more relaxed way than perhaps it would be if we were based as a stock market or dealt at a stock market. Focusing people, the company's slogan, is supported by the common agreed values we put as core values in our company's policy, which are responsibility, respect, team spirit, creativity, reliability, and customer orientation. I'm sure you see that these are really covering a lot of what we've just been talking about. But we have taken this a little bit further. Activities within the company and also within the local community. Within the company, we implemented a very strong feedback culture, which is going beyond what is normally done in most organizations, which is an annual feedback talk you normally have with your employees. Now, at Pharma, we've gone a step further in such a way that the whole management underwent a 360-degree assessment and feedback cycle. After that, all the current managers and the potential ones went into assessment centers and also were looked at again at their personal skills and how we can deal with our colleagues and employees itself in general. Within the local society, we have formed a very strong collaboration with some sheltered workshops. These are for handicapped people, and at the moment 5 long-term employees came from this background, and also we experience very kind support from a group of alternating members from that workshop who are supporting our packaging team and in the manual packaging area. There is a lot of respect and appreciation from both sides for the work, and we also find, I have been speaking to them just before, and they really appreciate working with us, and their contribution to the company's success is very highly valued also by all the other colleagues. So that's very lovely. In addition to that, Pharma is very well known as one of the large providers of apprenticeships in the area. Sorry, that was too close. We have many junior staff on board, and they often stay with the company afterwards as well. In addition to that, we have formed a cooperation with our local school, where visits to our company are organized, where they had room for a huge art exhibition, and also are able to benefit from some material and financial contributions. But we've taken it even a step further, and recently started a mini group, a Harman mini group, which is a nursery, a company-owned nursery. It is the first one of that kind of in the whole region, and it gives room for 15 children under the year of 3, and is run by the Association of the Lutheran Nurseries in the congregation of that area. This puts the parents' mind at rest while working, because they know that their children are very well looked after and they're nearby, so if anything should happen with these really small children, they could just run over and see them. But these Cinderella aspects do not only play a role in staff dealings, but also with the hard facts we mentioned earlier. When the facility was set out, there was also thought about the working conditions of our staff. So a lot of daylight was let into the factory, which in earlier times was not as common, but so the outer fronts are really all covered in glass, and the partitions are also glass walls. So by implementing this, we actually were able to allow daylight in most rooms, and we all know that daylight has a very beneficial influence on the well-being of people, be it physically or psychologically. This is also supported by the earlier mentioned color scheme, because the colors that were used are very bright and cheerful to actually also heighten the spirits and increase motivation. In addition to that, when all the lines were reorganized, members of staff were able to work with the manufacturer of the machines and to simulate their working day. So they were working on or simulating to work on the line, and then could decide where certain tools should be placed and how access to certain areas of the machines would be best arranged, so their work would be more ergonomic for themselves. This also allowed them to take on more responsibility for their own working environment, and we found that that was very, very helpful. Of course, there are still many areas where we could improve, and probably there are also a lot more where we already have implemented certain aspects of operational excellence. The appreciation of the abilities of every individual will surely become more and more predominant in our company's ethics, and I'm sure that this, as it is compliant with the operational excellence concept of being a continuous improvement, we will still keep learning. Personally, I really hope that the Cinderella aspects will become more predominant, probably not only in our own company, but in general. I really hope that this might even lead us to reconsidering our approach of ASAP, as I call it, ASAP. Perhaps that has also something to do with respect and slowing down our speed during our working day might actually also be part of that. Making good progress, I really believe, also means that our idea of globalization should be taken one step further. And apart from just learning about all the methodologies which we obviously imported from Japan, perhaps we should also import more about their general cultural concepts. Well, living with humility and with respect, I all wish us every success and on the continuous journey to operational excellence. Thank you.